Now, if there's one comic book review in this series of Planetary that I really hope I can do justice, it's issue number 8. Alright? Again, we're going with what I've said in the other videos, man. Straightforward story, which is very cool, very neat. Yet when you get to the subtext and you look underneath what Warren Ellis is pulling from, on top of the freaking spot on, stylized, perfect for the era that they're referencing artwork of John Cassidy in this one. This one really aesthetically just grabs me. I mean, I've always had a fascination with the 50s and stuff, and that's what this pulls from, right? This story, I believe, is called The Day the Earth Turned Slower, all right? And if you look on this, you'll see what genre that Warren Ellis has chosen to explore in this. The 50s sci-fi sort of thing, going into the early 60s, the accidentally classic B movies of the drive-ins, the monsters, and just a 50-foot woman, the colossal man, and I can't believe I'm going blank. Them, I have the movie right in front of me. Them. This movie plays straight into this in a fantastic way. The experimentation, War of the Worlds, things like that. I have those movies all around here, man. Just always had a little bit of just great stuff. And for this issue to come out and it looked like a freaking movie's 50s poster. I mean, it even has characters running. And I think I've seen the man and the woman running many times off of the page. Probably the Blob. I think the Blob movie poster was Steve McQueen in it and stuff. But this book ties straight into the Four. If you go back and I think it was this, if you um, go back in the reviews and know who the Four are, protagonists, the warped version, evil version of the Fantastic Four, more or less. You start following that, we start hearing the name Doling again. I think it's Randall Doling, and he's, the Reed Richards and stuff. And we're starting to see names reappear in the plot, in the story going forward. Anna Harks pops back up in this. I think it's her name. Her name popped up in issue 4, and then issue 5 with Doc Brass knowing who she was. um, yeah, there was a young woman here, Asian. She represented something called the Hart Corporation. So we're going back to the Hart Corporation where they blew up the building, and that the Hart Corporation, owned. So they've been around quite a while and things like that. But we open up with just a sunset and a lizard and this beautiful high-heeled shoe, a little bit of a glow to it. And then a cigarette drops, much like Sandy did in Greece, is what it reminds me of. And all of a sudden, man, we have Alice. I think that's her name, Allison. Sorry. I get the archetypes names mixed up with who they're obviously based on, man. It's Marilyn Monroe there with that classic. Looks like a Buick, maybe. Oh my gosh, this is so freaking awesome. And right there, I was like, I remember when I bought this, and I set everything to the side, and I made sure everything was turned off because I was like, this is going to be freaking good. Okay, so Alice, we look through here, and what it turns out to be is she's waiting on Planetary, who shows up, and as the sun sets, we start noticing she has a blue glow. Now, what was really cool about this is that now we're starting to have the world of Planetary. We're understanding the rules that Warren Ellis has set up. You're starting to kind of get the themes and the little cues that he's set up. I mean, he's really geniusly. He and John Cassidy here have really just done a fantastic job. Now you're in the Planetary by the time you get this. You read the book and you're there. Is she a ghost? It's Marilyn Monroe and things like that. We also start, when you slow down and think about what she's going to tell Planetary of what this abandoned place was and the things they're getting ready to find. You start remembering little things like how it's already been established that it was the German engineers, and they grabbed the Nazi scientists after World War II, and that's what they used, the space program and things like that. And you start finding out that, you think about it, what looks like just Randall Doling doing a bunch of experiments on people is really harkening back to what the Nazis did to the Jews with their human experiments and stuff. A little bit of a dark tone, grabbing from history. What he's also done is in exploring this genre with the comics and things. You know, we've already had the pulp heroes. We've already explored the 40s a little bit. He jumped up to the 60s. He touched on the 80s with, you know, our last review with the, you know, the Vertigo characters. And now we're slowing down a little bit, and he's jumping back to that decade that he actually skipped and looking at the 50s. So again, we're archaeologists of comic book history here, just as they are as our Planetary group are archaeologists of, you know, the fantastic and impossible and stuff. So basically, what we get on here is Elijah Snow's is very nice to her, and they're doing introductions and stuff. And before they get too far into it, the helicopter they've flown in on starts sinking in the sand, and their pilot is flipping out. And Jaquita pretty much is all excited because we have our 50-foot freaking ants coming after him. You know, here we go. Referencing the movie Them, which, oh, one of my favorites. There it is. And Jaquita's like, run now, she'll take care of him. And she's just freaking smiling, man. Jaquita is fighting giant ants. We have taken our characters and thrown them right into the monster movie now. Just so fantastic. And just splash page and splash page and her going after him, and oh, no fear, and she's loving it and stuff. So all of a sudden, you know, they start going, you know, Allison, I think it's, I'm going to laugh if I have her name wrong, Marilyn Monroe, if you will, starts explaining slowly what this place is, the experiments that went on, the terrible things that went on. And what you love is just to make sure we don't forget about Chiquita, you know, we have an ant head come crashing through the wall, and she's walking in all satisfied with herself. It says some great dialogue. She even says she saved the pilot, for those of you who are worried. But basically, she's saying that during the Red Scare, in the Cold War that was going on, certain people were blackballed. If you know about history, if you were a communist, if you were thought to be red, some people actually were, and some of it was most of it was a witch hunt and stuff, as time is told and stuff. You know, you were pretty much screwed, and that's in real life, and that's pretty much what they're saying. She's saying that a lot of people were collected, the dopers, the pushers, and then Marilyn herself here, Allison or whatever, says people who slept with the wrong people. Happy birthday, Mr. President. You sleep with a Kennedy, you're hauled off to an experimental lab. I don't know about that trade-off, man. I thought Ted was bad, but anyway. And they were brought here, and experiments started going on. And people were taken out and shot by a firing line, and she was one of them. And she remembers being brought back to life, and the person who brought her back to life explained that his name was Randall Doling, and that she now has a atomic half-life, if you will, of 50 years. And then she says that what was done to her was nothing compared to it. And that's where we get our other monsters and stuff, man. You take the Invisible Man, and horrific things happen. You know, just his skin went transparent and things like that. You had the Colossal Man. Well, the Colossal Man from the movies more or less died because basically his brain didn't grow with the rest of his body, and the brainstem and brain just collapsed inside his skull, and he fell down and died. The interesting thing about this is where all these experiments are taking place is called City Zero. If you go back to issue 2 with all the Godzilla monsters that they explored and discovered, and why would they keep this place secret and how did they really get here, was called Island Zero. Doesn't really spell it out for you, but is Warren Ellis saying they're connected? They're both named Zero. Island Zero, City Zero. 1945 was a lot of things happened. You know, interesting, just enough to think about. And as you go through this, you'll be able to pick and choose, like he's done in all the other books, you know, what is he referencing here, how, and things like that, you know. Just disgusting and terrible things happen to our 50-foot woman. The Incredible Shrinking Man, I think, is kind of talked in there. And the exposition and the dialogue and the way the story is being told to us by Marilyn, and the look on her face, you know, it actually captures how people are saying that Marilyn Monroe was just, you know, fanatics are always saying that, you know, she knew how to act happy to be such a sad person and things, and it's all there. So she gets Planetary there, and something really heartbreaking happens at the very end of it, to where even Elijah Snow, our cold bastard, has to just kneel on one leg with a very sad look on his face. So, you know, not a lot of subtext on there, but a lot of reasons for you to start hating the Four, showing exactly how evil they are. Like, you know, the first thing that Warren Ellis has done in the subtext is like really, you know, tag them, connected them to the Nazis. And then we get the human experimentation, even though it's all fun and games, you know, as you just kind of read it. When you really think about it, man, you know, you know, our mad scientist just is just a freaking sociopath, man. Has no compassion for people. He just sees them as something. How do they work? What can I do to them? Experiments and stuff that's going on. I mean, he's making a freaking badass villain that, even Doctor Doom would be like, "Damn, Reed, you went too far." All right, we're just churning along with these, man. Next issue, number 9. Who is Ambrose Chase, if I remember right? Who did they have? Who was the person they had to replace with Elijah? We'll find out.